So this is how this started. I remote started the car. I came out and there was a puddle under the rear differential. The rear differential has the input shaft coming in, the pinion gear seal right in the center. And then, of course, it's got the drive shafts off the left and right side. This puddle was concentrated towards the center, which led me to believe it was the input shaft, the pinion flange seal that was bad. I looked up under the car really quick. It was dark outside, and there was some fluid kind of spread around, which again led me to believe it was the pinion, because that shaft would be spinning, and as it leaked, it would be getting thrown around. So I thought I was going to be dealing with doing my first differential pinion flange seal. All right, so once in a while you get a little lucky. Came out, there was fluid underneath the differential. I thought for sure the differential was leaking. Turns out I got up under the vehicle and there was fluid dripping off the differential right about here, but the pinion gear seal, which I thought was the culprit, was dry as a whistle. So then I came back here and it was dripping off here, but I didn't, it's the lowest point. Of course it's dripping off of there, and I started following it around and it's way up. And it led me to those two lines right there. And the one that you could see, the line that you could see very clearly, that line was just very slightly leaking, just a little tiny bit. But that line over there was leaking quite a bit. I mean, it was running right down the hose. It was getting everything else wet. So these lines were leaking. The problem is how hard they were to get to. So what I wound up doing was and the other thing was the clamps that were on them were kind of further back than they normally would be. So I saw that as kind of as an opportunity. And I took the spare tire out, which allowed me to reach my arm up in there, and I had the worm clamps open and just slip them around this metal line here, and then reach up behind this hose and hold the clamps and get them tightened up. And like that line was like literally dripping in my face while I was working, and now it's not dripping anymore. It's not having any issue at all. So thought I was going to be doing a different pinion gear seal for the first time, but it just wound up being these lines leaking here. And the only tools that I really needed was and I didn't really need it, but I grabbed my crossbar. I don't know where it went. It's around here somewhere. I grabbed my crossbar and I used that to hit this bolt here and drop the spare tire. It helped to have some good lights there. And I put this monstrosity together for closing the clamps. To me, I just find it's easier with those worm clamps to use a socket instead of trying to use a flathead screwdriver. What I did was I had a universal over here turned, and I just turned it by hand until it was snug. And then I dropped this on there and reached up and tightened them the rest of the way. There is a zip tie up by the spare tire that I cut to kind of move hoses around a little bit to be able to reach things. And then I had actually picked this kit up just because I was working on the vet and had to run to the store for clamps, and I ordered a clamp kit just in case I need it. And sure enough, comes in. If you're going to be working in the garage and on cars, definitely pick up a clamp kit. I needed it today. So that was all the tools I wound up needing. It's not leaking anymore, and it's good to go. So hopefully I can get that lucky. The radio, I don't know how I fixed the radio. I pulled the fuse out. It wasn't blown. I put it back in. Now the radio works. The fuse was either like in the wrong little slot because it's like a micro fuse, or I'm not sure, but or the radio just needed to be reset. And so the radio is working, the leak is fixed, and I got a couple other things I'll be moving on to. So when I found these leaking lines, I wasn't familiar with these lines. The other two Explorers that I had an 02 XLT
did not have the rear climate controls, and then I had an '08 XLT that did not have the rear climate controls either. But this is an '08 Limited, and it has the rear climate control option. And these are actually coolant lines, taking coolant back for the rear climate control. So after figuring that out, of course, I turn and check the reservoir level for the coolant system, and of course, the reservoir level was low, which to me was a good thing. That tells me what the fluids were and made sense. And so I topped off the coolant system, and that put things back where they needed to be. And the problem was all repaired from there. That rear system is working again. Those lines are not leaking again. And I got everything all cleaned up. So everything was good to go. That was this problem start to finish. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Kevin's Garage. I'll be doing a lot more content, fixes on the Explorer, and a lot of content coming on the 85 Corvettes. Thanks for checking out the channel, and we'll see you guys again soon.